routine complete. As you can see, top left, as I should have seen. But this is winding up like a catapult. Where they're going to have to, when they get in the pit stop window, they're all going to have to use up all of the grip they've been saving in those tyres and just let it go, whatever they've got available, as they wander through the back markers. And that's hurt Ricciardo quite badly too, the looks of it.
So Nasser pitted, Martin. He stayed ahead of Grosjean, but I just wonder if Raikkonen pitted now and he can make those tyres last with the back markers holding up Ricciardo in the way they were. The fact that Raikkonen's probably a bit too close to Murray for his liking into that chicane. Could he try the undercut now? Is Ricciardo there for the taking?
It's too far out, isn't it? 58 laps to go. It's too far out. So I think they'll want to go. It's tempting, I'd imagine, but they want to go a lot further yet, I would have thought. But let's see if they...
Okay, Lewis, brakes are now coming under control. You can reduce lift and coast. Okay, so important you start closing the gap to Lewis, just in case there's a safety car.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're getting into the territory now. If you had a safety car, you'd probably get to the end of the race on the set of super softs. You could do 53, 55 laps, something like that. It's got to be tempting.
Just remind you that they are in a holding phase. But if there was a safety car and they decided to pit, then there's no point in being too close, because then he'd have to wait in the pits anyway. They'd stack him against the back of Lewis.
So we're on lap 21 then in this Monaco Grand Prix. It's a lot of intriguing possibilities between now and the checkered flag as we ride on board with Romain Grosjean running in 12th place at the moment. Felipe Nasser just ahead of him. Fernando Alonso running in the points in 10th, but Alonso has a 5-second penalty where nothing can happen to his car before he starts work, or before his crew starts work on his pit stop, because he was found guilty of causing a collision with Nico Hülkenberg. Jenson Button runs in 9th. Max Verstappen going really well for Toro Rosso in 8th. Perez runs 7th, 3 seconds behind Kimi Raikkonen. Raikkonen has Ricciardo in his sights.
So the cars in front are struggling on their prime tyres. They're on the prime. They're struggling.
Yeah, Bottas is currently running on the super soft tyre after making a stop a little bit earlier, closing right up behind Grosjean. Ahead of Raikkonen, the Red Bull pair, Ricciardo and Kvyat and then Sebastian Vettel, Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, who set another fastest lap of the race. On this lap 22, they've all gone through the first sector in exactly the same time. And Rosberg, 4.3 seconds, 4.4 seconds now behind his teammate, starting just to open up a little bit more of a gap to Sebastian Vettel through the middle sector.
Hamilton then, first man, sub 80 seconds around this 2.1 mile circuit on the previous lap. Another decent lap unfolding now. He's not really going pushing that hard yet. The gap up to 4.3.
So prime warm-up looks a lot better than we thought. So Vettel is a threat for the undercut, so push to get a gap.
Yeah, that's why they don't want him too far behind Hamilton. In reality, he needs a gap, because if Vettel pits before them, he'll come out. We've gone back to a traditional get in, get your fresh boots on and go faster rather than slower that we were expecting. And that's all about, really, 12 degrees of track temperature, that's all it is.
Absolutely. I've just checked out the back of the commentary box, A, to make sure our boat's okay, Martin, and no one's nicked it while we've been here, and B, to see where those clouds are. And there's some little white fluffy clouds coming in, but nothing that looks too heavy, nothing to reduce the track temperature. So I think we're going to stay like this for quite a while now.
Nobody will steal that. I cut both the oars in half so that they couldn't steal it.
Safety first. On board with Sebastian Vettel then, who we kind of surmised could be a threat to Nico Rosberg, who I'm sure would like to stop a little sooner than his teammate Lewis Hamilton here. But that, Ted, is not the way Mercedes traditionally play it.
No, Crofty. Just to tell you quickly, Martin, about a couple of other people. Do you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Sainz... Team ready yet?
Solid job so far. Keep it smooth, keep it consistent.
done a long way then.
Oh dear, yeah. Sainz, I think, can make it to the end of the race. It would be 60 odd, 62, 63 laps, but I think Toro Rosso are going to give it a go. And as for Fernando Alonso, McLaren telling him that he needs to push now to be clear of Felipe Nasser in the Sauber when he makes his what will be a 25-second pit stop with that penalty.
It's going to be very costly indeed. But tyres degrading maybe in the last few laps. Fernando Alonso might still have a chance for a bit of an overtake. If you're Nico Rosberg at the moment, Martin, what you really want is to say, do you mind if I stop ahead of my teammate here? But Mercedes give preference, don't they, to the leading driver, the driver that is ahead on the track.
Not always if it works for the team. Where do we see that, where they did bring Rosberg in first? Was it Bahrain, where they did that because
That's
Hamilton
true.
they played the team game there rather than the inter-team driver game. But if Lewis can get himself 5-6 seconds out front, which he's doing a good job of at the moment, then it annuls any of that.
This is Carlos Sainz. Just had a quick check as they went past our commentary box. He's really caught up on Marcus Ericsson on this lap, and he might just have a little go into Sandoval. No, he's just a little bit too far behind. Ericsson lost quite a bit of time to Sainz, 9/10 of a second on the previous lap. But Toro Rosso going really, really well here after starting from the pit lane. And as you can see, Sainz now trying to thread his way through the field and actually starting to enjoy himself. Here's the thing, he's having his own race here, and those around him, Ericsson and the car behind him, Hulkenberg, having their own race. Now they've got the race leader, Lewis Hamilton, right behind them as well. Hulkenberg moves over as the blue flags are being waved. Should their race really be kind of ruined and compromised with these blue flags, or does it not make the racing a little bit better if they don't wave the blue flags and the race leader and those behind just have to find their own way past?
I do think it's an art to handle the back markers, but with current aerodynamics, they brought these rules in to make sure that great races didn't get disturbed by back markers. Lewis has been told again now, we are on the limit with brakes.
So expect more lifting and coasting then. Try and keep the temperatures down.
Yeah, so as the weight goes down, as they burn up the fuel, then that helps the brakes. But when the track rubbers in and you start to take a lot more speed out of it, inevitably it heats up everything. So Lewis has got a balancing act there. He's a real juggler out there today, isn't he, with that one? With that problem to carry.
Looks fairly comfortable from the outside, but I think inside the cockpit, inside that Mercedes garage, maybe a little worry in the back of their mind. The pole sitter got away well, beat his teammate off the line, but it doesn't mean he's home and hosed, not by any chance.
It's very much part of Lewis's driving style. He does hit the brakes hard. That's where his speed comes from to an extent.
Through the tunnel where the noise rises to a crescendo. Ericsson just keeps out of the way, and now Carlos Sainz is right on the back, isn't he, of Marcus Ericsson. He lost quite a bit when he had to make way for Hamilton, and now it's kind of battle resumed once again with the back markers.
Did you see Hamilton? I'm sure Hamilton put his hand up to acknowledge as he went in there. As he was busy navigating the chicane, he put his right hand up to thank the Sauber
for getting out of the way. I mean, he probably takes that chicane quite a bit on his day-to-day life. Now, you've got Sainz on Ericsson. You've also got Hulkenberg on the super soft tyres right behind Carlos Sainz. Is he going to have a go into Sandoval? No, he's not. And he's tantalisingly within range. Trouble is, he's going to have to move out of the way once again, as those are coming up behind him.
It really compromised Hulkenberg badly, that thump with Alonso on the first lap, because he's shown great pace since he went back out. He's been pretty much matching the front runners. Now he's got himself some fights to get through.
It's the third year in a row Nico Hulkenberg has started 11th here in Monaco. Last year, got his pit stop time right, came through to finish 5th in the race. 2012, he started 10th and finished 8th. So he makes a habit, doesn't he, of starting outside the top 10 and some decent running, finishing in the points.
Velocity
think your teammate and Sebastian Vettel are going to lose a fair bit of time as well.
Yeah, they're catching him. He's catching him in a very difficult part of the racetrack, and they're busy racing each other, as you pointed out, David. And you always have to, especially if there's 2 or 3 of you in a line, you have to be so careful. They've seen all of you. I got taken out of a race once like that, lapping some traffic, and it broke my heart. Still does 30 years later, because, you know, they see one coming, they don't always see the second one coming through.
It just made me wonder there, you know, we're probably now 50 laps to go in the race, Martin. Are we in a period where Vettel could have come in and could have tried the undercut there? While Rosberg's getting stuck in this traffic, was that the moment for him to come in?
Do it, because it's down to 0.9 of a second as Hulkenberg behaves immaculately from Casino Square down to Mirabeau. But that's the difference now, less than a second.
Okay, we would have a similar scenario to before for blue flags and try to take the occasion to overtake Ericsson.
He's in DRS range, Sebastian Vettel. The DRS is along the main straight here, the drag reduction system. Ted, down to you.
Just a quick one on Daniel Ricciardo. We haven't spoken too much about him with his teammate Fiat in front of him. Ricciardo says his rear tyres are starting to go off, so he's looking at a pit stop. So it looks like Red Bull can't go as long as perhaps the Mercedes or indeed the Ferraris. So just keep in mind that Ferrari always wants to go as long as possible on the quicker, softer tyre, in this case the one with the red stripe on it. So we'll see how that one works out. And as for Sebastian Vettel, well, we'll see what happens. Actually, I'm not sure what Ferrari can do in terms of where they are with the strategy now. If they go longer, then yes, they're spending the longer time on the super soft, Crofty. But as you say, the yellow stripe soft is working quite well for them.
The traffic is helping Lewis Hamilton enormously, and they're still not through. It's now 7.3 ahead, and then he'll just be taking a load more time on this lap as well.
A 1:19.9 for Hamilton on his last lap, a 1:21.2 for both Rosberg and Vettel. Fiat comes out onto the racetrack just behind then Jenson Button in 9th place in this race. If we went to the casino tonight, Martin, assuming we got those oars back on our boat, and I said, right, do you want to put all our money, all our chips on one number and win big, or do you want to play it safe and go odds or evens? If you were wearing a Ferrari top at the moment, you go and try and play it safe. But is this the time to take a gamble here and start to be bold with strategy?
Well, they've got a lot more data than we have on the pit wall, but they've got unless they force Ferrari, Mercedes' hand somewhere, they might as well do something different and try to fluster Mercedes. No point in just following their lead, is it? And 8.3 seconds covers the top 3 now. You're right, if they want to get past Rosberg, they have to try something different.
And they could do the same thing with Kimi Räikkönen as well, because look, he's now coming up behind Daniel Ricciardo.